Recording in progress.
Why is this?
Let's take a look. Yep.
Good evening. I'd like to call the Verona Borough budget meeting of November 6th to order. Stand for pledge of allegiance, please.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America,
and
to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Ms. Provenza, present. Mr. Long. Mr. Flota. Mayor Cooper. President Suchovich.
Here.
Dr. Carpenter.
Present.
Mr. Jamelis.
Here.
Ms. Redzak.
Present. Present.
And Mr. Long.
Here. This time I'll ask for any comments from the public. We have nothing. We'll go into the discussion items, the 2025 budget. Stephanie.
Let me just. All right, if you're here in person, you have copies and you would like a copy.
Sure, am I taking yours?
No.
Then yes.
Our copies of our budget, presentation for 2025. So here we go. Here's the proposed timeline we are looking at. We are here on November 6th for the 2025 public budget meeting. November 12th at the council meeting, we asked for the adoption of the 2025 proposed budget and a motion to advertise the proposed budget. Public viewing would then be open from the 15th through the 25th. November 26th workshop meeting would be the motion to advertise the tax ordinance. And then the hope would be this, I think it's December 10th. Once I look. This December 10th,
Yes.
we would adopt. The overview is going to be the general fund, the sewer fund, the liquid fuels fund, the capital funds, grant funded projects, and then capital projects. The overview of revenues is expenses. I'm going to start one way and then we're going to go back to the other. When we began the budget process, and we looked at having a revenue of around $2,299,000. And expenses of $2,336,000, which was going to leave us with a deficit of $36,763. This included an increase in the amusement tax that had been discussed through STAMP. That also, some of the things that STAMP said, like we already do rental fees. We're working on our fee schedule, which will, we'll have some extra fees. But the other items that we have discussed are going to take about a year to plan. If we can even, some of them, we can even pull them off.
You mean from the stamp program?
Yeah, like we have to create an authority for the storm sewers, that
Right.
stuff would take lots of time and.
So it probably wouldn't be.
If we could do it, I would say it would probably take about a year.
Okay.
And it would be figuring out if we can do it. To create a budget that can best accommodate the borough over the next year, I'm requesting a 1 mil tax increase. This would take our millage rate to 10.7. 1 mil would create about $92,000. You have to give or take that, not 100%, every place may pay 100%.
And how much is the 1 mil gonna cost the taxpayers?
So a mill on it's about $25. approximately.
That's not a bad price to pay for what we, you know, everything going up, increase of everything. And hiring more police officers.
Doesn't it depend on the value of your property?
Yeah, each mill, you have to take, is like $1,000. I have it all figured out and calculated. And I can get those numbers for you. So that would, if we did.
That would be an average also though.
Yeah, so all of it's gonna be an average, because, you know, that's even how the forms are created. They're all based off of averages of how much real estate is in. Here is worth, then you take out, you know, you push and pull some numbers around. So,
This is my recollection from when we had conversations about this 3 years ago, is a mill on $100,000 home is about $100 extra in your taxes. So if you have a $50,000 valued home, it'd be about $50 for the year.
and I can show you.
Yeah, I mean, this is very, very
It's very,
approximate, but as to the mayor's
Yeah.
point, it's not that much.
it's not going to
Yeah.
be much at all. Which would take your revenue up to 2.39. $2,390,000, which would give you, for this year, a revenue over expenditures of 54.9, which would also build you in a cushion for the following year. Again, some of the items we had to look at, the revenue items, we do now pay for garbage, so we get garbage fee dollars back. We did increase the amusement device fee, we increased it from 500 to 750. And we are providing, which will provide the borough about approximately another $10,000 in revenue.
Do you know approximately how many amusement devices we have?
I have a list of every amusement device, we keep, you know, that we
Yeah, I
keep.
guess if we divided 250 into 10,000, that would tell us how many.
Not really, because you're getting some new restaurants and there will be recounts.
But I mean, for right now.
Well, this is part of the, the jukeboxes,
Yeah,
and they're a lesser amount of money.
yeah, so when you start adding all that in, you have to also add in the stuff that we're not raising, the jukeboxes and everything else.
This is just for the
These will only be
gambling.
gambling machines.
Gambling.
And
Do you have a piece of paper I can look at it?
it would just be the gambling machines.
So it'd be approximately. Oh, no. That's
Again,
an additional 10,000. Okay. Not the total.
it works out to be about $25,000.
Okay.
New items and expenses include, we pay for garbage. We get the fees for garbage, we also pay for garbage, and there's never going to be a guarantee that every person who, we pick up garbage for pays their fees. So there's always gonna be a lapse, and there's always gonna be some looking at that we're gonna be doing.
I'm a little confused on that one. 339,822 is our revenue,
Uh-huh.
and we're paying County Hauling 357.
Yeah.
So we're losing $20,000 because people aren't paying their bill?
Well, it
Is
will,
that what-
I mean, you have to look at it this way, same concept as we're because it's all tapped into your water, it's tapped into your water. So it's your water, your sewage, and your garbage. Same concept with sewage. Not everybody pays their sewage bill on time, but we still have to pay out the sand. They don't charge us. So it's the same thing. What happens if you don't pay your bills, that there is things that start to happen, like, you know, things can be shut off, things like that, but there will always be, and there will be people who will be late. So it may not roll right, it's always gonna be like that, it's like taxes. If we lived in a great world and everybody paid their taxes. You know, when we figure out these amounts, we figure them out like at 90%. Because you have to take into account some people who just don't. And
Sometimes you never get that money back.
I get it, I understand now.
Just change the name of the who's paying the water bill.
It'll be a lot different now that they have a potential to lose their.
Yeah, and there is a little bit more, that's why it switched over, was to give it a little bit more because it was causing problems. The estimated fund balance at the end of this year is estimated to be at 478,337. That's taking out the money that will be approved on next week for the for the capital improvement fund, for the sewer fund and the police pensions.
That fund balance is the one that we wanna keep like 2-3 months.
Yes, and that's where, and then by the end of next year, it'll be at about 533. Any questions?
No.
From here, this is tiny. You have just a kind of breakdown of each section of the budget. The first one is the general. So it's broken down into like each revenue section, and then each expenditure section. Some of the things you will notice, of course, we've seen a huge increase in police services, so that's, you're gonna see that jump quite a bit. But you're also gonna see some decreases in spending just because we've been able to find ways to cut money and to make things as tight as possible.
Could you point out the pertinent, I mean, I know the police is the one, but in the revenues, could you point out?
The revenues would be your real estate,
Because of the mill
yes,
increase,
yes.
okay.
Everything else, and then, I have to look at the bigger one real quick to see exactly where it sits in there. And then if you go to 321, business licensing, you can see where that increases because of, the increase in the amusement tax, stuff like that. And then you see the new line item of the sewer, or I mean, not the sewer, the sanitation.
The what's it say, 344?
364.
36. This one's hard to read.
Yeah, they're all, there's no way to make these big.
Yeah.
And then your biggest, I guess, again, your expenses are your police, not just that, but also, our engineering services, our, everything we're trying to do, to get streets paved and grants done. But everything is pretty much standard. And if you have any questions.
Well, just for clarification, well, I guess the people on Zoom can see it. But for Leslie and Sherry, the police is going from,
They have copies of it.
675,000 to, what's that,
819.
819? Okay. Yeah, you have to do that.
So those would be where the major changes are. Next up would be the sewer fund. Of course, Alcoasand is increasing their rates 7% again this year. That was a 7-year increase. I think we're only on year 4, maybe 5. So there's not a lot we can do. So when your sewer fees go up, please understand Alcoasand raises their rates every year. We just have to raise with them. So as of 10/16 of 2024, we owed the sewer fund $357 approximately. For the 2024 budget, we've already written off 45,000 of that towards expenses. We have another about 13,000 to be written off towards that debt in October, November, and December. And we're also doing a $100,000 repayment from the general fund that will be made in November. That will take this fund down to approximately 245. Ooh, I left out a number.
Yeah.
245 something. 732.71. I apologize for that. I did not, and I made my son read it. The 2025 budget, we look at writing off about $83,000 worth of expenses towards that debt. So when I got here, it was over 600,000. We're looking at the end of this year to hopefully be like 250. Any questions on that? Here's the budget, things that you will see included in there, things have changed. We went through with our bookkeeper, and found a few items that we should have been writing off towards this debt that we weren't. So, you'll see there's been an increase in administrative, an increase, in, public works and stuff like that. And so you'll see those are in there because we're increasing those a little bit.
Public Works looks like it went down.
Public Works Public Works moved part of theirs to, into the sewage treatment fees. Part of their salaries went into, up into there. Yeah, so that increased, huh?
Yeah, that's less. Oh, expenditure, let's see.
There's an expenditure up above called sewage treatment fees. Included in that is the fees, certain repairs, and there are a few items that are written off, for when the guys have to go in and help with sewer repairs and items like that. That's where most of their stuff moved up into. So actually, it rose, it just got split. Liquid fuels, everybody knows liquid fuels is the money we received from Pennsylvania that's to be used for the maintenance of borough-owned roads. We use this funding for our winter salt purchases and street lighting. There's really no big surprises in here. It's been about the same every year since we started.
We have,
Do we have salt left over from last year?
Yes.
I mean, are they holding it or do we
Yes.
have it stockpiled?
No, we have it
Both.
on hold and we have some stockpile
Right.
and we ordered less salt for next year, which means less cost. Knowing that we had so much salt stockpiled, so we ordered less, so that should help immensely, so that'll cut
You
down.
mean for the 2025 contract?
Yeah,
Right,
we ordered less salt.
it looks like, we're negative 25,000, which is about the same as this past year, which is negative 28,000. How does that impact things?
What will end up happening sooner or later is something will have to be pulled from liquid fuels. You're not getting more money. So you're not, I mean, I can't make the state give us more money, so the state gives us a set of money based on a calculation, this is the money we're given every year. And,
Turn off some of the streetlights.
yeah, I mean, so the question becomes, what gets moved around? But, that was gonna happen sooner or later, because for some others, it looks like it got really, really built up. And then we started to spend it down, and now it's kind of matching up.
Oh, we had extra
We
in the
must have at
liquid.
one time,
What's that?
we must have at one time.
Okay.
The capital fund, which was started in 2023 with the advice of our auditor, these funds will be used for projects within the borough. I will show you the budget, and then I will show you the projects where the money is actually gonna be going to this year. As you know, we will be putting about $200,000 into this account in November, which will take the account up to about a little bit over 400,000. Next year, we'll see expenses come out from DPW capital and Parks capital. I will switch to the next page, which will explain what's coming out of the capital fund. Coming out of the capital fund is the parks improvement, we approved. And are waiting on getting the slides, all that good stuff. That will be about $45,000 worth of equipment that we will be paying for, and that will be coming out of the capital. The paving at Third Street Athletic between South and Peter Vogel's Lane, the alley between South and Vogel's running from Athletic to Second, that's about $32,000. So coming out of the capital fund from grants next year is $78,135. Other stuff from grants coming out, you can see if they're coming out of the general fund or if they will be coming out of the sewer fund. So sewer fund would be all the sanitary sewer linings. We have quite a few projects with that. The demolitions would be coming out of the general fund. And the park planning grant would be coming out of the general fund.
The park planning grant meaning the match.
The match,
Yeah.
the 5,000, yeah. And then these are the purchases that will be also coming out of capital. There will be the purchase of the new lawnmower, infield grader, the brick painting at East Railroad, a line on Center Avenue, a line on Second. You want to fix the apron at South and ARB where the roads connect, because it's really bad right there. And if they're going to just kind of repave that road, we'd like to get it done before they do that, so that at least
Makes sense.
updating signs and then the tree trimming. Of those things, 26,000 was budgeted into our general fund and 63,000 was capital.
So what you're saying in terms of the capital, so that's what we're discussing, right? If you add the 63 and the 78,135, that's approximately 140,000, something like that.
You have to be very, very careful though, and remember that grant money will go into that account.
Right, but for the sake of our discussion right here,
Yes.
so then I'm going back up to this, yeah. I'm not quite sure how to read this, where that shows up. Is that the end? The revenue over under expenditure?
Yeah, that's the 136,135.
Okay. And the fund balance, the two fund balances there are just for the capital fund?
Yes.
Okay, because didn't we put $200,000 into the capital fund
Not yet.
last year?
Yeah, we did last year, no, it already shows it there.
Okay,
It goes 200. Estimates make it 410 when we add the next 200,000,
yeah,
which makes next year's fund balance or beginning fund balance 410,4.
so if we have 400, why are we negative 100? It would be 400 minus
You
133.
can't, because you can't look at this, this is not a, this is a year. This is not a, what do I wanna say, this is not overlooking the whole thing, that's why there's fund balance amounts written into those. So you can have cash somewhere, but the money, we're spending more than we'll be bringing in next year.
Well, are we spending more than the 140 approximately? Because aren't we bringing in 200,000? Are we about to dump
But
200,000?
that's coming in this year.
That's for 2024.
So the other 200,000 we put in was from 2023.
Yes. So if you look, each time it's negative because we don't know at the beginning of every year what we're gonna have to
I'm
dump
going
into
to do
it.
that at the end of the year.
Mhm.
Okay.
So, and no matter what you do, when you're doing the budget, I'm not looking at fund balance as much as, when you're doing I'm looking at 2025 itself. Not looking at the overarching, so 2025, we're gonna bring in less from the capital fund than we're gonna spend.
Until we Until we don't.
until we don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, sooner or later, everything, you know, but right now, that's where it's at.
yeah.
That's basically what I have, so I wanted to open the floor up to the council members for questions, anything I can answer.
I was wondering under revenues at the very beginning of the long version of the budget. For last year, it looks like you budgeted approximately, we would take in $60,000. This line 301,400,
301,400.
yeah. Real estate
Third line
delinquent, real estate tax delinquent.
Uh-huh,
So you estimated a revenue of 60,000. And year to date end of September is 38,750. And that that third clump of columns, do you mean that this is your estimated at the year end? Year end of
that
24?
38,750 would have been as of September
Right,
30th.
but then go move to the right, to the next,
That, to 2024, that's year-end estimates.
where it says EST YTD. General funds,
Yeah,
okay, I'm just clarifying.
yeah.
It just was confusing, and you mean the end of 24, so that's your estimate?
These are my best estimates.
Yes, got it, okay. So I just was wondering, where you got the thought that if we have 38,000 or almost 39,000 at the end of September, well, we're gonna get so much more money by the end of the year.
Because we usually have it, there usually becomes a big dump right at the end of the year.
Does there?
If you look, last year, if I'm not mistaken, 2023, that number ended up in 74,835. And most of that money came in prior to, after. It's an auditing thing, they move some stuff around, some of the stuff goes in from delinquencies, stuff like that.
But it's not because there's like some kind of deadline that people have delinquent taxes?
Some of it.
Oh, it is?
Some of it is.
Okay. And then under intergovernmental revenue. What? So.
What line,
I'm sorry, 350-000. I just wonder if you could explain, is this grants? What is
The
this?
only thing that actually, okay, so if you look at the spread out version,
Yeah.
all that money sits in 350,013, which is state grants.
Uh-huh,
So that's the amount of money we're projected to receive from state grants.
oh. So capital fund is projected to receive $261,000?
Of state grant money too.
Uh-huh. And sewer fund, it's not a direct grant to the sewer fund, is it?
Well, if the money will be directed into the sewer fund, yes.
That like for sanitary lining or whatever?
Yes, and all that money still goes into the sewer fund.
Okay.
We do froms to move that money back and forth.
Well, I might have more questions, but I didn't have time to get deeper into it. By the time I got a version that I could actually read. But I appreciate your efforts. Call you up or something, just for clarification. A lot of this is just clarification.
Anybody have any other questions for Stephanie on any of this? At this point?
Thank you.
Yes, you did.
Did the,
Thank you.
Stephanie, this one here, this last one, that was on the back page of that Great handout, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, what you have in front of you is, what's gonna occur with all of this is, now that you guys have read it and we have to get ready to approve it, it will go into a booklet for the public. So it'll have all these budget pieces, so it will have the long involved budget, you know, each section will be open to the public for them. And please remember, when we, on Tuesday, we're approving a draft. We're not saying this is it, we're just approving the draft so that we can get it out to the public. I wanted to give the public a little bit more time. And this year it's odd the way Thanksgiving fell, like, so I just wanted to make sure.
I also want to say that I think the small tax increase is very warranted for us to finally be able to almost breathe a sigh of relief, because we'll be able to afford to hire people and pay roads and fix things that have been in disrepair for so far too long. That's my opinion. But
Again, like I stated in our workshop meeting, I believe, you know, we had to reopen the police contracts to try to raise money for them, to get police officers. Because it just, the numbers weren't there.
we have to be competitive.
And we have to be competitive. So if we have to raise the taxes a little bit, you know, we've done a lot, we've spent a lot of good money this year on things. We've also saved money from some grants we got, you know, we got that new DPW truck, the new leaf blowers factor and sort of things like that. There's a lot of matching grants to that, but that saved us, that setup was $170,000. It cost us maybe 30, I don't know the number off top, but saved us a lot of money. So we have, you know, unfortunately, we're gonna have to, if we wanna be competitive with everything and we're just gonna have to. And I personally just wanna take a second to, and I know this is gonna be rehashed again with the public season and everything, but the preliminary draft, I understand the finance committee and Stephanie worked well together. And I just wanna thank them for putting this budget presentation together. It looks real doable.
So here's what I'll say, you're asking about mill, a mill is equal to $1 for every $1,000. So for every $1,000, your property is assessed. So if your property is 50,000, then
$50.
$50.
Right.
If it's $100,000, it's $100. So.
I did have one other inquiry, there was a meeting of the Community Relations Committee a couple of months ago. And a proposal was put out there for some money to go toward the newsletter.
My understanding is we put the finance committee put extra money into advertising budget this year to allow for the community newsletter to invoice us if need be.
Okay,
And that would be for, and then that would be for us to have the ability to basically put what we.
To advertise, yeah.
Sure.
Advertise.
You mean for us to advertise in the
Community newsletter, yeah.
not to just give them,
Instead of us just giving the money,
They have to
every
give
year,
us
they will
something.
invoice us for the space that we use.
yeah,
okay,
And we put money in the budget.
We're gonna work on trying to figure out what that format will look.
That way it's at least trackable. It's not just, we're just not throwing money.
And it's
Okay.
something, you know, that, you know, we feel that it's good, would be good for both parties, especially, you know, with the guarantee that, you know, our stuff can't get, you know, space wise and stuff, we always know we'll have that space.
right, okay.
Thank you for that, we appreciate it.
I wanted to add, I just think that this slight increase is a worthwhile investment in our town. It's needed, you know, we've made some immense strides this year in improving our public safety. So I think that it's warranted, and I would think that most of the residents would agree that we're moving in the right direction. Just my 2 cents.
Can you take the presentation now?
Oh, I thought I.
David, do you have anything to add?
Actually-
Anybody other council people? Because I'm gonna go to Trish and
No,
Tim next.
real quick, as of, like everybody said, as far as the millage goes, 1 mil, I had brought it up to 2 public meetings that I shared with the community group and the block watch. And I brought it up, and, the community group, I believe there's almost like between people here and online, close to maybe 28, 30 people, same way with the block watch, it may have been about 20 to 25, and I brought that up. There was a lot of older people here too, especially at the community meeting, and not one person, they all shook their heads, yeah, we have to do that. If you want fire and ambulance and, police, to run the borough, we need to increase it, and
Oh, yeah.
nobody bickered about it.
The budget includes the 20,000 for Lower Valley ambulance.
It's lower this year,
It's 15.
15,000
Oh,
this year.
15, that's nice.
That's in there.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, what's that going to cover, Ray?
That covers their
Ambulance service.
ambulance service. We paid 20,000 last year.
Okay.
That covers, that
It helps them with maintenance.
helps them with everything on their stuff.
Oh,
If you remember, when they first started, when Lower Valley first built us, it was gonna be maybe like 160,000 or some number like that. And they reworked their numbers and everything, and they got it down to, I believe, 20,000 last year. And this year, they're doing well, better, I should say, and they lowered it to 15,000.
And nobody's doing ambulance service for nothing anymore. You have to pay, and I
Right.
believe we did put it out to a couple ambulance companies, and Lower Valley still was the cheapest.
Like I said, when we, at the fire department, we used to run an ambulance service and never charged the borough nothing, never, we only took what healthcare would pay and insurance would pay. And then for a lot of years, we had the other ambulance companies in here and we didn't pay them a thing. Well, then finally, Lower Valley said, hey, and all the other companies did too. You just have to, because everything is so freaking expensive. You just have to.
that does not cover
Yeah.
residents, this is strictly for the.
That's just a donation to them.
Right.
It's for
And
them.
then you still should do your subscription to them,
Right,
because if not, you're gonna get billed. So,
thank you for,
Trish, do you have anything to add on the council end right now?
Nope, we're good. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Tim, what about yourself?
I am also good at this time.
Very good, thank you. This time, I'm gonna open it up to comments from the public. Please approach the podium or raise your virtual hand. I see nothing. This time, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
second,
Motion by Dr. Carpenter, second by Mr. Provenza. All in favor? Or any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Passed.
Fancy beat.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming to the November 6th budget meeting and have a safe trip home.
So till not here, you can jump right in.
Thought I'd mix it up.
Bye, Tim.
Hi, Trish.
Hello.
You, Teresa,
Yeah.
she's the one doing it.
She-
Got a full meeting. It's just been crazy busy up there. So, it was a good meeting. I heard a lot of good things. So everybody have a good evening.
Same, Tim.